I'm right now joined by our good friend Ross Catt, in from Back to Back Entertainment and Nightlife Magazine, and you're bringing a special guest with you.
Hi, Rich and Kim Marie. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, longtime friend of Nightlife and just a great performer, guy all around, Lawrence Gowen, who's with STYX.
And Lawrence is on the phone with us right now. Lawrence, are you there?
I am here, and I am a friend of Ross Catalino, and I'm pleased to be on the act.
There's not a lot of guys who will admit that they're friends of Ross's, so that's I give you credit on that.
Being from across the border, I do whatever I can to extend that hand of peace.
Yeah, I've had to go to Canada to get new friends because everybody in the U.S. doesn't like
it. You know, Lawrence, speaking of that, we know you from STYX, and I seen you a few years back with STYX, just an amazing show. We're definitely going to get into that, but later on I want to talk about, all of us here, because we're so close to Canada, we know you from Gowen. We know you from the original band. Where all my prog buddies all had your stuff. It was just, that's what we know you from.
Well, that's why I'm very happy to talk to you guys. I mean, that's the one little section of the United States, well, a little bit in the West as well, where they're close enough to the border to hear all the airplay that on the Gowen stuff, and kind of got to know it. And I only wish that, in hindsight, of course, I wish that the records had been released in the United States. They never were, but they, it all turned out for the best. A lot of STYX fans discovered the stuff, since my inclusion in the band over the last 14 years, and so it all kind of works its way out. But thank you for being there from the beginning.
Oh yeah, thank you for, and it's funny too, because I really didn't realize, so you just said that stuff wasn't released in the States.
Yeah, no.
I really, because once again, we were privy to it here. I never realized that.
I think what they did, Richie, is they eventually, just out of, I don't know if it was out of embarrassment or just, they printed up maybe 1,000 copies and released them in the Buffalo area. So there you go, there's your U.S. release.
Oh, that's what they did.
That's exactly it. But, it just made the cross-border shopping a little bit more insane. But they never did put the record out. And it's funny when people ask me, well, what's the difference in the music industry today? It's like, I think about that and realize, everyone gets a worldwide release now. Whereas back then they held the reins very tightly, and it didn't matter how many #1 songs or how many platinum records I had in Canada. They had just made the decision that no, this is an artist we're not putting out in the United States. And I'm not a unique case. There are a lot of cases of that around the world that it seems archaic now, because we quickly become so accustomed to the fact that if somebody makes a record in New Zealand, you can hear it in 30 seconds.
Sure. We're kind of off on a tangent, but I wanted to go down this road a little bit. What was it about the American market? Why were they so ridiculous about this kind of stuff? I think what.
Oh no! It wasn't the American market at all. It wasn't that. It had nothing to do with it. It was the. I went out and did a full U.S. tour where I opened for Tears for Fears, and the shows went over tremendously well. No, what it had to do with was the way that a lot of record deals were structured back then. They could contain you to various territories, and that way they could control the market. You're right, this is a tangent and it's a little bit boring, but it's the way that they controlled the levers of the market. So they decided which acts were going to get released and which were not. So they weren't they didn't want to be in competition with themselves, so they'd keep it very, very controlled as to where they put out various artists around the world. And Columbia Records for me in Canada was absolutely spectacular. Couldn't have been better. But they had their big butt heads with the guys that were in New York, and I was one of those acts. And as I say, only one of the acts that basically they kind of went, no, we're going to keep this one, where it is, or we might put it out. Actually, they were all set to do a gigantic German release on Great Dirty World. It's funny because that record's 25th anniversary this year. And at the time, it was a bitter decision to have to say, no, we would much rather you just release this outright, and so we can finally get the records out in the U.S. As I said, it was a boring story, and I lived up to it.
No, the audience is hip. The audience is. This is the kind of stuff the audience likes to hear more anyway. So it's not a problem. The funny thing is honest to God, Lawrence, Ross comes in, And Ross is so together. He is like, he's just so together. He gives me notes. He gives me, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to talk, man. It's cool. So he gives me the whole game plan, which I've already blown it up. So I know you wanted to talk about. He's with another band, pretty popular band called STYX.
Yes.
Maybe you've heard of them, Ross.
And I do want to go back to the Gowen stuff, but yeah, you guys are out on the Rock and Roll Express tour package with some very good friends of ours, Ted Nugent and Derek St. Holmes. Talk about how that's going, and you're in Bristol, Virginia, I think, tonight?
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Today we are there, and yesterday we were someplace else. Where were we? Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, and then we've gone through the California part of the tour and the Texas part of the tour. So absolutely tremendous, response from the audiences on this run. And it kind of amazes me just the variety of acts that STYX can tour with, and still draw new people to the band. It just shows what a wide appeal the band has over the years. Because, it was only a few months ago we were out with Yes. I can't really think of anything to be more the antithesis to Ted Nugent than Yes. and yet, there's a bunch of Nugent fans who suddenly become STYX fans, just as there were Yes fans that became STYX fans. And the STYX fans are very, the ones that have been there since the beginning anyway, seem to be very ready and willing to embrace whoever it is that we're out on the road with. So the whole thing has been tremendous to this point.
Unfortunately, that's not coming here to Darien Lake this year, but anybody in the area here, you will be in Cleveland at Blossom on June 30th, so that's not a bad rock and roll road trip. If
Yeah, that always disappoints me, especially when a tour is going so well that we're not getting to various parts of the country that I know would really love the show. But yeah, at least we are getting to Cleveland, and a summer road trip may be in order.
Absolutely.
Lawrence was talking about, he was talking about how well the band plays off with other bands. Mm-hmm. But when you think about STYX, this is a real monumental band. This is like a monumental band. It's probably one of 5 monumental bands that I can think of in the annals of music. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Like the Grand Illusion stuff, and I could see it would be easier for for them to get a Ted Nugent fan, I think, than the opposite to happen, probably. Yep. But I can definitely see, and like I say, I seen you guys live a few years back. As a matter of fact, you had a different bass player at the time. Glenn was still with you, and I owned a music store. I had to repair his bass before a show at the Erie County Fair. I really did. Oh, you're welcome. And it held up just fine, just magnificently. But the show was amazing. Talk about a really, really great show. It was just unbelievable. You guys were phenomenal. You yourself are an unbelievable talent, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a band, there have been 10 members of STYX since the beginning of the band, and I can't think of, there's not one member of the band that hasn't made it, a pretty significant contribution that amounts to what is on stage today. And so to be part of that legacy, and part of it in its living, breathing entity, in 2012, is something I don't take lightly, and it's something that I realize is so strongly embraced by music fans around the world that I don't want to be part of anything that has to do with letting them down. So, or letting ourselves down. We know that we put on a very strong show. We've done it over 1,500 times in the last 13 plus years, and we have that epic STYX tradition to live up to, and we seem to be able to pull it off.
Lawrence, speaking of that, we didn't have a chance to connect earlier in the year when you released the STYX Live Grand Illusion Pieces of the DVD, and we're standing here holding it here, which would be on the podcast. Just a phenomenal, like Richie said, a live band. This is something that everybody's got to see, and I believe it reached like #2 on the DVD music charts as well. So.
Yeah, I know. It entered at #2. That was like the day after Adele won like 6 or 7 or something Grammys. Mm-hmm. So she entered at #1. Which is fine, but #2 is okay.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
And I think actually that this live DVD is the best representation of where the band not only is today, but really is the best piece of work that we put out to show what the band is like live. And as much as I love the orchestra show we did, but that was as much just how brilliant those kids were at playing the songs of the orchestra as it was about the band itself. Whereas this is, it on, obviously the album tracks that are on there, were never singles, and also just what the band is capable of to play those records in order, back to back, over the course of that, I think it was about a 25-show tour that we did, and then to record that in Memphis. I think it's it's a tremendous, like as I said, representation or gauge of where the band is today.
Very cool, very cool, and that's how people can grab that. Chuck Panazzo, how's he doing? Is he doing any dates with you, or is he doing any of the summer dates with you?
Yeah, he is. He's done most of them.
Oh, great.
He played last night with us, and he was. He comes out to as many shows as he possibly can. I'm kind of stumbling a bit because I had to ask him to keep the snoring down a bit last night. So he's in tip-top health, really, and or as much as he possibly can be.
Sure.
And he's 100% whenever he comes out to the shows, and when he can't make it, he can't make it, and people are aware of his health issues. But the man just continues to seem to gather strength. Every single year that we're out, and he does more and more shows, and people love to see him. So do we.
And some really, in between your short 10-day break on this tour, instead of taking a few days off, you're going to be coming to the Falls View Casino here July 11th, 12th, and 13th, I believe.
Correct, yes. I am. One of the things that have happened, and Ross, I know you're aware of this, is that in the last 2 years, and I guess I can speak about this, a lot of your listeners might be aware, but the Strange Animal record, which has the song Criminal Mind on it, which is the song that STYX plays as well, the 25th anniversary of that record was in 2010, and it was our manager that actually said, you should go out and play some Gowen shows. You haven't done them in 10 years, nearly 11 at that point, and we should just take at least a couple of weeks and you can go out and play a few. So we did that, and when he saw the show, he just thought, we're going to have to take a couple of weeks every year from now on so that you can go and address this, because it's a separate thing entirely. It really is where I came from, and it also kind of informs people, a lot of the STYX fans that come to the show, as to, it illuminates the reason why they asked me to join the band when they came to their crisis point and realized they couldn't go on unless they made a change. It's a way of them kind of exemplifying why they asked me to join the band, and it's a chance for me to reconnect with with who I am at my core, which is the solo artist Gowen, and to play those shows again.
And the response has been great. Like I said, they should pretty much give you guys in STYX and yourself free rooms there for the year, because you guys have quite a residency. I think you guys do at least what?
Yeah, it's a fantastic venue. It's only 1,200 seats, so it's the smallest venue that STYX ever played. And for me, I've played 4 nights there over the last 2 years. They've all been sellouts. Now we have 3 nights coming up, in, as you mentioned, July 11, 12, 13. And I'm looking forward to that. I bring Todd, Todd Zuckerman, STYX drummer. He's part of the show as well. So I bring a good chunk of the STYX crew along with me too. So it's kind of seamless.
You don't give anybody a day off in that band, do you?
No, that just exists for us.
Lawrence, when that's July, that's in July. He's playing up there.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure to step up there. I want to see that.
Absolutely.
I want to go see that for sure.
I'd love you to see it.
I absolutely. I want to see it, and we're going to check in with you, get closer to that,
Yeah,
and we'll
we can
get
do
some publicity for that too.
Sure.
Talk about the Gowen stuff. And unfortunately, our time has flown by, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. We wish you safe travels on the rest of the tour, and anybody that's really wants to see rock and roll the way it should be done, make sure you get out and see this tour. It's got to be phenomenal. The lineup's phenomenal, and I've seen them, you've seen them.
Yeah,
they blow me away.
The Rock and Roll Express, as a matter of fact, Nightlife, and I'm gonna be down there June 30th. Bring back a report when we talk to Lawrence again before the show's in July.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys, and for people in the area, as you mentioned, the show in Cleveland at Blossom, we will make it worth your drive, or however you decide to get there. We will make it worth your while with the big STYX adventure.
All right, my friend, thank you so much.
Take care, Lawrence. Travel safe.
Got to head to a commercial break.
Cheers.
Stick around, folks.